You stole his future. Those were the exact words my mother screamed at me in a courthouse hallway. Because I had bought my own house at 22 without a single dollar from my parents. I looked her dead in the eye and asked, "Does he even have a future left to steal?" I had just gotten home from the hardware store. A bag of drywall anchors in one hand. When it happened, I was fixing a crack in the guest bedroom of the house I'd bought 6 months earlier. My name is Harlow Bennett. And that house, small, a little crooked in places, half renovated, was the first thing in my life that was completely mine. I'd been saving for that house since I was 14 years old. Every babysitting job, every summer of mowing lawns, every late night of tutoring algebra to bored freshmen. It all went into an account my parents didn't even know existed. By the time I turned 22, I had enough for a down payment on a fixer-upper in a quiet neighborhood outside Nashville, Tennessee. I set the hardware store bag down on the porch steps when a man in a gray polo shirt walked up my driveway. Harlow Bennett. Yeah, he held out a thick envelope. You've been served. Then he turned and walked back to his car like he hadn't just detonated a bomb in the middle of my Tuesday afternoon. I stood there holding the envelope, feeling the weight of the paper inside. Official. Heavy. Wrong. I opened it slowly. Frank and Susan Bennett versus Harlow Bennett. My own parents were suing me. I read the first page. Then the second. Then I went back and read them again. Because surely, I was misunderstanding something. Tortious interference with prospective economic advantage. Unjust enrichment. Fraud. Breach of familial duty. Translation: they were suing me for being successful while my older brother was not. The allegations were almost too absurd to be real. Defendant Harlow Bennett deliberately manipulated family relationships to secure unfair advantages. Defendant withheld crucial business mentorship from her brother, Colton Bennett, directly causing his ventures to fail. Defendant used the family name and reputation to build a business while undermining her brother's identical efforts. Defendant received undisclosed financial assistance from extended family, which she fraudulently claims to have earned independently. They were demanding $250,000 in damages, plus the transfer of my house to my brother as, and I quote, restitution for opportunities stolen. I sat down hard on the porch steps. My phone was already ringing. Mom. I answered. What is this? Don't you dare use that tone with me. You are being selfish and cruel to your brother. And we've had no choice but to take action. Selfish: I worked 3 part-time jobs through college while you paid Colton's tuition at a private business school. You call that selfish? I heard my father's voice cut in behind her. Let me talk to her. The phone changed hands. Harlow. This is happening, whether you like it or not. You can settle reasonably, or we will see you in court. Settle for what? What exactly did I do? You know exactly what you did. You built your little business off our family connections. What connections? Dad, we're middle class. There are no connections. You sabotaged your brother. Every time he tried to start something, you were there undermining him. I offered to help him with a business plan once. He told me I was thinking too small. My mother grabbed the phone back. You stole his future. Harlow. That house should be his. That business should be his. You knew he was the entrepreneur in this family. He's failed 3 businesses. Mom. You gave him $100,000 and he lost every cent of it. That's not on me. In the background I heard my brother's voice. Whiny and loud. That's supposed to be my house. She stole my life. I closed my eyes. Colton. You're 26 years old and you live in Mom and Dad's basement. I didn't steal anything from you. I built something. With family help. He shouted. Grandma gave you money. Admit it. Grandma passed away 4 years ago. Colton. And she left us both the exact same amount. $2,000. That's it. You're lying. You had to have gotten more. I stood up. I'm done with this conversation. You'll be hearing from our lawyer, my mother said, ice in her voice. We're taking you to court. And we are going to win. You owe your brother. You owe this family. I don't owe you anything. I worked for everything I have. We gave you nothing because you never needed anything. My father snapped. Colton needed support. Are you punishing us for not treating you like a charity case? We are correcting an injustice. My mother said. See you in court. The line went dead. I sat there holding the phone, staring at the half-patched wall of my guest bedroom. And then I called my best friend. Priya. Hey. What's up? My parents are suing me for $250,000. Silence. Then. Wait. What? Can they even do that? Apparently they can file. Winning is a different story. This is about Colton. Isn't it golden boy Colton? Who's failed at literally everything he's touched. Yeah. They're claiming I sabotaged him. That I used family connections to succeed. Priya laughed. Sharp and bitter. Family connections. Your dad's a warehouse supervisor and your mom works in payroll. What connections? I don't know. But they're serious. Priya. They want my house. Then you fight it. Every inch. That night I sat on my porch and thought back over the last 8 years of my life. I was 14 when I started working. Not because I wanted to, but because I'd asked my parents for $40 to join a robotics club. And my father had said, money doesn't grow on trees. If you want it, earn it. That same week, Colton got $500 for a summer entrepreneurship camp he never finished. I started babysitting and mowing lawns that Saturday. By the end of the summer, I'd saved $800. Colton spent his $500 on video games and takeout. When I turned 16, I got a used bicycle from a classified ad. $80. As a birthday gift. I was grateful. At least they'd gotten me something. 2 months later, Colton turned 16 and they bought him a brand new pickup truck. $38,000. He needs reliable transportation for internship opportunities. My father explained when I asked about the difference. Colton never had a single internship. He wrecked that truck at a party before the end of junior year. They bought him another one. I biked everywhere until I was 18 and bought my own car with money from tutoring and computer repair gigs. A 14-year-old sedan for $2,800. College was worse. Colton got into a private university with a business program that cost close to $80,000 a year. My parents threw him a catered party for 100 guests to celebrate his acceptance. I earned a full academic scholarship to the state university. 4 years. Fully covered. When I told them at dinner, my mother said, "That's good, sweetie." And my father said, "You've always been so self-sufficient. No party. No card. Just a text the next morning, congrats." Honey, Colton got a full graduation party when he finished high school. Gifts. Cash envelopes. Toasts about his bright future. I graduated valedictorian and got a card with $50 inside. College was 4 years of grinding. I worked 3 part-time jobs. Campus IT support. Tutoring. And freelance graphic design. On top of a full course load. I graduated with a 3.9 GPA, $15,000 in savings, and 0 debt. Colton graduated with a 2.3 GPA and just over $200,000 in loans my parents had co-signed. The job market is brutal for new grads, my mother said when he moved back into their basement with no offers in hand. I was already building something of my own by then. I hadn't even lived in the same city as them for 2 years. At 20, I started an online business selling handmade home goods, candles, ceramics, small furniture pieces I built myself. I spent 6 months researching suppliers and studying the market before I ever sold a single item. I started with $2,200 of my own savings. By the end of the first year, I had pulled in $48,000 in revenue and cleared about $13,000 in profit, every cent of which I reinvested. I worked 18-hour days, a day job to pay rent, my business at night. Colton, meanwhile, was 24 and on his second failed venture. The first had been a food truck. My parents gave him $45,000 to launch it. He bought a custom-wrapped truck with an expensive logo and top-of-the-line equipment, but never researched permits, health codes, or foot traffic. He picked a terrible location, overpriced his menu, and folded within 3 months. The truck was repossessed. The city regulations killed his dream. My mother said, nobody asked why the 17 other food trucks in that same district were doing just fine under the same regulations. Then came the crypto trading phase. My parents gave him $30,000. He watched a handful of YouTube experts with big subscriber counts. Bought high, panicked, sold low, and lost it all in about 6 weeks. The market is rigged, my father said. Nobody asked why other people were making money in the exact same market. Then the consulting firm. $25,000 from my parents. Colton rented a downtown office for $3,000 a month. Spent $8,000 on branding and business cards. And never landed a single client. He called himself a disruptive growth strategist. The office closed after 4 months when the money ran out. Corporate America is intimidated by innovators, my mother explained. Meanwhile, I turned 21. My business hit $180,000 in annual revenue, $65,000 in profit. I quit my day job to run it full-time. I found a run-down 2-bedroom house for $140,000. Put 20% down with money I'd saved since I was 14. And spent 4 months renovating it myself with YouTube tutorials and 12-hour weekends of drywall dust and paint fumes. My parents came to see it exactly once. My father walked through the living room, looked around, and said, "Must be nice to get lucky with the timing of the market. Not congratulations. Not we're proud of you. Just luck." And now they were suing me, claiming I had stolen my brother's future. I sat on that porch until the sun went down. Then I went inside, opened my laptop, and started searching for lawyers. I found a firm called Whitfield & Associates that specialized in defending against frivolous lawsuits. The reviews were brutal, in the best possible way. They don't just win, they make the other side regret ever filing. I called and left a message. My parents are suing me for being more successful than my brother. I want to fight this, and I want them to regret it. The next morning, my phone rang at 8 o'clock sharp. "Harlow Bennett, this is Marcus Whitfield. Got your message. Tell me everything." I told him all of it. The golden child dynamic. The $100,000 they'd poured into Colton. The $0 they'd ever given me. The lawsuit accusing me of stealing opportunities I'd never touched. He listened without interrupting once. When I finished, he said, "In 20 years of practice, this is one of the more frivolous filings I've come across. Can they win? Absolutely not. Their claims have no legal foundation. But let me ask you something. Harlow, do you want to simply win? Or do you want to make a statement? What kind of statement? We countersue. Abuse of process. Malicious prosecution. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. We make them pay your legal fees. We make this lawsuit so expensive and so public that no one in your family ever tries something like this again." I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. Let's make an example of them. Good. I'll need documentation. Tax returns. Bank statements. Business formation paperwork. Anything that proves your story. I have 8 years of tax returns. Every W-2 I've ever received. And every piece of paperwork for my business. I'll send it all tonight. Perfect. They're accusing you of fraud. Of secretly receiving help. We're going to prove that they're the ones who defrauded the court. By midnight, I had built a 42-page timeline document. Colton had received $45,000 for the food truck, plus $30,000 for crypto, plus $25,000 for the consulting firm, plus over $200,000 in co-signed student loans. Total parental investment in my brother just over $300,000. Total investment in me $0. Colton's current status roughly $200,000 in debt. Living in his parents' basement. 3 failed businesses. My current status net worth just under $100,000. Business owner. Homeowner. 0 debt. I titled the email Evidence and sent it to Marcus Whitfield. Then I went to bed and slept better than I had in months. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't taking it quietly. 2 weeks after I hired Whitfield, the countersuit was served. I was at my kitchen table fulfilling online orders when my phone rang. They got served an hour ago. He said, "Your mother called my office screaming." What did she say? That you're an ungrateful daughter. That we're all monsters. That she's calling the State Bar Association. Standard panic. Happens every time people realize they might actually lose. That evening, my phone exploded with missed calls. Voicemails from my mother. Crying. Calling this elder abuse. They were 56 years old. I deleted the message without finishing it. A text from Colton. "You're disgusting. Hope you're happy destroying this family." I blocked his number. A text from my father. "This has gone too far. Drop the countersuit and we'll drop ours. Let's be adults about this." I replied, "You sued me first. I'm finishing what you started." He never responded. The next day, Priya came over with takeout and her phone already pulled up. "Your family is losing it on Facebook." I'm not even on Facebook. I know. That's why I'm showing you. My mother had posted a long message about how heartbroken she was. How they had only tried to teach their youngest daughter about family obligation. And instead she had chosen money over blood. 200 comments rolled in underneath. Half sympathetic. Half not. My Aunt Denise had written Susan. "Didn't you pay for Colton's college and 3 businesses? What exactly did Harlow get?" My mother never answered that one. My Uncle Ray had commented, "So you're punishing her for being responsible." Colton had posted his own version. A paragraph about how his greedy little sister had lawyered up against their own parents over some business mistakes. The comments underneath were split, but a few cut straight to the point. "How much money did your parents give you for your businesses? Did she actually do anything wrong? Or are you just mad she succeeded?" My phone rang. Unknown number. Harlow. "It's your Aunt Denise. Saw your mom's post. Wanted to hear your side of it." I told her everything. The lawsuit. The $300,000 poured into Colton. The $0 I'd ever asked for or received. She was quiet for a long moment. I knew they favored him. But I didn't realize it was this bad. For what it's worth, I'm on your side. And I told your mother exactly that in the comments. 3 weeks later, depositions began. The night before, Marcus Whitfield called me. "Tomorrow we depose your parents. I'm going to ask very specific questions about money. It won't be comfortable for them. Your job is to stay calm and let me work." The deposition took place in a conference room downtown. Long table. Court reporter in the corner. My parents arrived with their attorney. A man named Callahan who looked uncomfortable the moment he walked in. My mother wouldn't meet my eyes. My father glared the entire time. It took Marcus exactly 20 minutes to unravel their entire case. "How much money did you give Colton for his businesses?" $100,000. "And how much did you give Harlow?" "Nothing." "What specific actions did Harlow take to sabotage Colton?" "She refused to help him." "Is Harlow legally obligated to provide free business consulting to her brother?" "Did Colton ever offer help to Harlow with her business?" "I don't know." You don't know. And yet you're certain she sabotaged him. Based on what evidence? What Colton told us. So you have no direct evidence. You're relying entirely on your son's word. By the time it was over, my mother was crying and my father was seething. But the numbers didn't lie. $320,000 to Colton. $0 to me. Colton's own deposition. The following week was even worse for him. He showed up defensive before a single question was asked. Marcus walked him through the food truck, the crypto losses, the consulting office, and each time Colton's excuses collapsed under the smallest amount of pressure. You had $45,000 in startup capital, more than most new businesses ever see. Why did you fail? I don't know. Maybe other people just got lucky. Then Marcus asked the question that mattered most. You claim Harlow sabotaged your ventures. Did you ever explicitly ask her for help? Colton hesitated. Not in those exact words. So she sabotaged you by not volunteering, help you never actually asked for. And what did you do to support her business? I encouraged her. How? Specifically. Silence. One last question. Marcus said, your lawsuit claims her house should be transferred to you. Why do you believe you're entitled to a house you never paid for and never helped build? Colton looked straight at me, and for a moment I saw pure resentment in his eyes. Because it should have been mine. That's the life I was supposed to have. Why is that? Because I'm the oldest. Everything she has should have been mine. 3 days later, their attorney called Marcus asking to discuss settlement. They wanted to drop everything. Their suit and our countersuit both. And simply walk away. No. I told him, I want them sanctioned. I want a judge to rule, officially, that this was a frivolous lawsuit. I want consequences. 4 weeks later, we were in a courtroom. Judge Renata Vasquez had a reputation, Marcus told me, for having zero patience for nonsense. My parents sat with Callahan, looking like they had aged 5 years in 5 weeks. Colton sat behind them, arms crossed. The judge reviewed the file for several minutes before speaking. I've read the depositions. The plaintiffs gave their son over $300,000. They gave their daughter nothing. And now they're suing their daughter for succeeding. Mr. Callahan, where exactly is the legal theory here? Callahan tried to explain that families have obligations to one another. The judge asked if he had a contract proving any such obligation existed. He did not. Motion to dismiss is granted. She said, the plaintiff's complaint is dismissed with prejudice. Judgment is entered for the defendant on the countersuit. The plaintiffs are ordered to pay the defendant's attorney fees. She looked at the total. $16,800. Additionally, I am sanctioning the plaintiff's $4,000, payable to the court, for filing a lawsuit in bad faith. This judgment will be entered into the public record, noting clearly that it was frivolous. She looked directly at my parents. You are disappointed that your children's lives turned out differently than you expected. That disappointment is not your daughter's responsibility. She made her choices. Your son made his. She succeeded. That is not a crime. She banged her gavel. We're adjourned. Colton stood up so fast his chair scraped the floor. This is unbelievable. Everyone knows what really happened. Mr. Bennett, the judge said coldly, I suggest you leave before I hold you in contempt. Outside the courtroom, Marcus shook my hand. That's about as decisive as it gets. What happens now? They have 30 days to pay. If they don't, we begin collections. Lien. Wage garnishment. The works. I felt something settle in my chest that I hadn't felt in months. Not triumph. Exactly. Just quiet. Solid peace. The fallout online was almost immediate. Colton posted a long rant about corrupt courts and a sister who cared more about money than family. The comments were brutal. Didn't you sue her first? Maybe get a job instead of blaming your sister. He deleted it within the hour. My mother posted something similar, about how the system favors whoever has the better lawyer. My Aunt Denise commented underneath it, "Susan, you sued her and you lost. Maybe it's time for some self-reflection instead of playing the victim." My mother deleted the post entirely. A week later, my aunt called to tell me my parents had refinanced their house twice trying to fund Colton's businesses. And between that and the judgment, they were staring down bankruptcy. That's not my problem anymore, I told her. And I meant it. About a week after that, Colton showed up at my door. He looked terrible. Unshaven. Exhausted. "I need money," he said. "Mom and Dad are about to lose the house. I'm basically living out of my car." I almost laughed. "After everything. You're asking me for money. I made mistakes. You made choices." Colton. Repeatedly. "And now, you're facing what comes after them. Welcome to adulthood. So you're just going to let us lose everything. You did that on your own. I'm not responsible for fixing it." He left angry. I closed the door and felt, once again, nothing but calm. 2 months later, my parents filed for bankruptcy and lost the house. They moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment, and Colton moved in with them. I heard through my aunt that the extended family group chat had exploded with opinions. Some blaming me. Some finally understanding what had actually happened. I stopped checking it altogether. My business, meanwhile, kept growing. Revenue hit $280,000 that year. I hired my first employee. I finished the guest bathroom renovation I'd started before any of this began. I started dating someone. A contractor named Owen I'd met at a home improvement expo. Kind. Steady. Unimpressed by drama. I told him about my family on our third date. "They sued you?" he asked. Stunned. Because I was successful and their favorite wasn't. "That's insane." It was. "Do you talk to them now?" "No. And I don't plan to." "Good," he said. "That takes strength." 6 months after the trial, I got a letter in the mail from my father. I nearly threw it away unopened. But curiosity won. "Harlow, I don't expect a response. But I needed to write this anyway. Your mother and I were wrong. About how we treated you and your brother differently. About the lawsuit. About believing you owed us a fix for our own mistakes. We told you for years that you were self-sufficient because it was easier than admitting we were too worn out to give you the attention Colton demanded. That was our failure, not yours. You built something remarkable, entirely on your own. And instead of being proud, we resented you for reminding us of what we'd done wrong with your brother. I'm sorry. Your mother is sorry. I know it's too late. I just wanted you to know that you were right about all of it." I read it twice, folded it, and put it in a drawer. I didn't respond. Maybe someday. Not yet. 2 years passed. I was in a coffee shop reviewing quarterly numbers when Colton walked in. Wearing a retail uniform. Thinner. Haircut short and practical. None of the styled look he used to spend an hour perfecting. He saw me and froze. He walked over slowly. "Can I sit, just for a minute?" I gestured to the chair. "I'm not here for money," he said immediately. "I just wanted to say what I should have said 2 years ago. I'm sorry. For the lawsuit. For the entitlement. For all of it. I destroyed my own life. Harlow, you didn't do that to me." He looked genuinely different. Broken down and rebuilt into something more honest. "I've been in therapy for 1.5 years, he said. Real therapy. The kind where you actually look at what you did wrong instead of blaming everyone around you. What did you figure out? That I spent 26 years thinking the world owed me success because I was the oldest. Because mom and dad believed in me no matter what. But I never actually put in the work. I wanted the results without the effort. Hitting bottom is what finally made that impossible to ignore. Where are you now? Assistant manager at the store. Paying mom and dad back $50 a month. Taking night classes in actual business fundamentals this time. It'll take years. But I'm doing it right. I studied him for a long moment. This didn't feel like manipulation. It felt like someone who had actually broken and was slowly putting himself back together. I appreciate the apology. I said, I don't know if I can have you back in my life yet. Maybe someday. Not now. That's more than fair, he said, and stood to leave. Take care of yourself. Harlow. You too. A year after that encounter, my business crossed $500,000 in annual revenue. I hired 2 more employees and moved into a proper office space. Owen and I moved in together. Our lives merging slowly and naturally. One evening my father called. Colton got promoted to full manager. He said, he's doing really well. Paid us back another chunk this month. A pause. Harlow, I don't expect anything from you. But your mother and I are proud of you. We should have said that 20 years ago. My throat tightened. Thanks, Dad. A year later, a letter arrived with a cashier's check inside. $16,800. The exact amount of the original judgment. Colton wanted you to have this. My father wrote. It took him 2 years to save it. But he wanted you to know he's serious about making things right. I called Colton that evening. Got the check. I needed to make it right. He said quietly. 2 years of saving. But I did it. You didn't have to. The judgment was against mom and dad. Not you. I know. But it was my lawsuit. My entitlement. That started all of it. I needed to take responsibility for that. I ended up donating the entire amount to a scholarship fund for first-generation college students working their way through school. Kids, just like I had been. I texted Colton afterward, check cashed. Donated it to a scholarship fund. We're square. His response, that's perfect. Thank you. The following year, Owen proposed. Small ceremony. Close friends. My Aunt Denise and Uncle Ray on my side. No one else. A month before the wedding, my father called. I heard about the wedding. Congratulations. I know we're not invited. And I understand why. I just wanted you to know we're happy for you. 6 months after the wedding, Owen and I found out we were expecting. I waited a week before calling my father. We're having a baby. Silence. Then his voice. Thick with emotion. That's wonderful. Congratulations. A pause. When the baby comes, maybe we could visit. Meet our grandchild. We'll figure it out. I told him. And I meant it. Our daughter, Willa, was born 9 months later. My parents came to the hospital quietly, respectfully. Colton came separately with a children's book tucked under his arm. Congratulations, he said. She's beautiful. It wasn't reconciliation. Not fully, but it was a start. A year after Willa was born, we had our first family dinner. At my house. On my terms. Owen, Willa, and I at the center of the table, my parents and Colton at the edges. Quiet and grateful simply to be included. It wasn't perfect. There were awkward silences and careful, measured conversations. But it was something. After they left that night, Owen and I cleaned up the kitchen together. How do you feel? He asked. Okay. I said. It was okay. Think you'll do it again. Maybe. In small doses. Later that night, I stood in Willa's nursery, watching her sleep. My daughter. growing up in a house where she would be seen and valued for exactly who she was. Never measured against a favored sibling. Never told she was too self-sufficient to need love. I thought about the lawsuit, the trial, the years of quiet hurt that came before either of those things. And I understood something I hadn't been able to see back on that porch step, holding an envelope that accused me of stealing a future I had built with my own 2 hands. The best revenge was never destroying them. It was building a life so solid, so entirely my own, that their approval simply stopped mattering. And then, when they had actually earned it, letting them back in. Not because I needed them, but because I finally chose to. That was power. That was peace.